And you're live on PM Express tonight. I'm pretty sure you know by now that there is a massive race happening within the New Patriotic Party, one that is going to lead to the election of many parliamentary candidates of the New Patriotic Party. The problem is there are many incumbents already who are holding on quite strongly to their seats, and those who are seeking to unseat them are having a hard time trying to do that. And that's why we are focusing on one of those interesting cases tonight, the case of Addai Nimo and the Mampong violence. I'm pretty sure you've seen those brutal scenes of clubs being applied to people's heads and skulls in Mampong. Now, we know that the NPP's primary is due for April 20th next month. Various aspirants face a race against time to meet this particular deadline to file their nominations. Now, this particular aspirant, who has a very interesting background going into this particular contest, had a tough time picking one and then submitting those forms to his own party in Asante Mampong constituency. It turned out that the former MP was denied access to the forms by the constituency chairman, claiming the forms has simply run out. He issued a statement complaining about the process, that he's been victimized. All manner of means were being used to get him out of the race, forcing the aspirant to pick his nomination forms at the regional party office as a result of all the hindrances and impediments put in his path. Now, the former flag bearer aspirant had earlier written to the party leadership expressing concerns over the difficulties he was facing in buying the party's parliamentary nomination forms. Now, what happened? It turned into violence. I wanted to watch a footage of how this unfolded in the part of the country where many people got injured. They were using claps on each other. You've seen the picture there. These are actual pictures from Asante Mampong. Watch this. So this was in a constituency in Asante Mampong, just because of the chaos surrounding his attempt, Mr. Addai Nimo's attempt to file his nomination forms. People were injured, claps were used. You've just seen a bit of that. The aspirant successfully submitted his nomination forms the next day. After the violence that we just showed you, he managed to file it the next day. How has that been resolved? He's not the only person facing this particular challenge, though, in the Ashanti region. There are many more facing it. But because of his peculiar background going into it, this is a man who once wanted to be the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party and run on the ticket in the 2016 elections, failed in that bid. He was once a member of parliament for this same Asante Mampong constituency, lost out and wants to go back in again. We'll try and get to the bottom of his grievances and how he anticipates that the vetting will pan out in the next few days. Stay with us here on PM Express. You're live on PM Express tonight. My guest in the studio is Mr. Addai Nimo. Is Mr. Francis Addai Nimo correct? That's a full name.
That is correct, Francis Addai Nimo.
Yes, and you may recall him as one of those who challenged the current president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, 2014, going into the 2016 elections and the party's presidential primaries. He himself used to be the member of parliament for Asante Mampong, lost the primary there in 2016. He's now seeking to go back into parliament. There's been some controversy surrounding his constituency in the lead up to the filing of nomination forms, and it fits into a bigger picture, really, of concerns across the Ashanti region generally, mainly about candidates being not disallowed from picking and filing forms. I'm grateful that you could join us. Yes. There's a rich background to you going into the primaries on April 20. It begs the question, You were once the parliamentary candidate for Asante Mampong. You had high ambitions. One time you actually stood and challenged the incumbent president. Why do you want to go back? Some say you've seen it all.
Yes.
You've been there. You served them for 2 terms, correct, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, that is correct, Evans.
Yes.
That is correct. Well, it is a salient question to ask me, and my answer is that there is a motivation, and the motivation arises from the constituents themselves. And I believe that having served them for 2 terms and having seen my successor's performance now, perhaps that is what triggers them to say that we have compared and contrasted the quality of leadership that you offer to us. And so we are prevailing on you, persuading you. Could you consider to make a comeback and run for the Member of Parliament once again? And then in the future, you could also think of your higher ambition. This had gone on for some time, and this constituent, the number of constituents who had spoken to me prior to the opening of nominations, many people. Many people, and they had mixed the kind of leadership I offered to them. So if people are coming to you and saying that, look, we have appreciated what you've done for us, we need you, it means that 2 things. 1, the relationship that existed between you and them at the time that you were a leader over there, they really appreciated it. 2, your performance was also admirable to them. So why don't you consider? And this clarion call has not just come from just a few people. Traditional leaders, a number of them have spoken to me, religious leaders spoken to me, ordinary people, many invitations to attend programs, social programs, religious programs, even as a non-sitting member of Parliament. And every now and then you are getting invitations to honor this program or the other program. So you ask yourself, why should they be throwing the invitations to you?
Are these invitations coming from ordinary constituents, something like party delegates?
Party delegates are part of it, non-party delegates, but influential people in the constituency.
But the party rejected you in the primaries in 2016.
Absolutely. That was in 2015.
2015, yes.
Yes. There can be a rejection, and that was a decision, and a decision can be reviewed.
So you're saying that the delegates have reviewed the decision they made in 2015?
Not only the delegates, but we're talking about the entire constituency is made up of the delegates. How many are the delegates? Let's say about 650. And that is an insignificant number in terms of insignificant percentage of the entire population of the constituency. Assuming you have about 100,000 people living in that constituency.
Your faith, though, lies in the hands primarily of your delegates. No matter how small the number, your faith lies. Because if they reject you in the primaries, you won't get an opportunity to prove what you can do.
Evans, I agree with you that my faith lies in the hands of the delegates, that number about 650. But the delegates have not come from another planet. They live within the entire population, and they also listen to the non-delegates. And you know, in this game of politics, there are some people who are non-delegates, but very influential. Some may have influence over 50 delegates, 20 delegates, 30 delegates, and they listen. The delegates don't take the decision just by themselves. And this is how I put it. So anytime I've spoken to the constituents, I've said that the decision-making as to who represents you in Parliament is a decision by the entire constituency. But the delegates are the ones who will go and thumbprint. So I say the delegates only go to thumbprint. But in going to thumbprint, they also listen to what the larger population who are the non-delegates, also say.
Let's come back to the current controversy. If what you say is true, why have you had why do we have such difficulty? One, in picking common nomination forms that doesn't cost much to print from a printer, and filing the form to the point that as we watched the video there, people were injured, some severely, just because you wanted to. If what you're saying is true, why is that so much controversy surrounding your candidature?
Well, I didn't expect all these kind of things, occurrences to happen. I expected a smooth process in the purchase of your nomination forms, in the submission of your nomination forms. I mean, this is a simple process. I agree with you. So why should it be? Why should it be cumbersome? Why should it be complicated in this manner? I didn't expect that. Because in 2008, when I first contested to become the Member of Parliament, or I first ran for primaries in Mampong, it was a smooth process. The sitting MP now was part of the contestants in 2008. Indeed, he was even part of the contestants in 2004. Before I came into it in 2008, and I won. In 2011, my good self and the current Member of Parliament were the only two contestants, and it was a smooth process. In 2015, we were 6 contestants, and it was a smooth process, and the current MP won. So why should it happen now? That is a huge question. So to answer it, I would say that, could it be that Addai Nimo is become a scare to someone, that if he is allowed to contest, he's likely to win? And so what kind of means can be adopted to prevent him?
What happened? What happened? First of all, you had challenges picking up forms.
Yes.
The explanation we had from this side was that the forms have run out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How did you manage to eventually pick form?
Well, this story, I think I will want to urge those in academia, students in academia, lecturers. They could pick this story as a case study in political science or in public administration. And I mean, that could be a case study in having a policy and a deviation from the policy implementation, that kind of thing. Look, the nomination was opened on 20th of January. And a group of young men came to me and said that, Honorable, in seeking your comeback, we are desirous to purchase the funds for you. So we have mobilized resources to assist you. I said, fine. I mean, if that is what you want to do, fine. So we got our payment order or banker's draft ready. And we made contact with the constituency chairman. The constituency chairman said 3 forms were given to him initially in Kumasi at a regional executive committee meeting. And on that very day in Kumasi, all the 3 forms were sold by him unilaterally.
Did you believe that story?
Well, this is what he said. So why not? I would believe him.
Yeah.
Then I questioned him. By the rules and regulations approved by the National Executive Committee, there is supposed to be a 5-member constituency parliamentary elections committee, for which you, the chairman, you are a member of that committee. And that committee is responsible for the sale of the forms. So how could you do that? And he retorted that, look, I have sold it unilaterally. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Then I said, okay, in that sense, this is my banker's draft. Will you be kind enough to accept it so that you take the initiative to purchase one of the funds for me? And that was also refused. And I couldn't believe it. Because personally, I could not go to the regional secretariat to buy, because there's a committee by the rules of the game. So based on that, I also contacted the chairman of the Council of Elders. And he told me he did not approve or instruct the chairman to sell the forms that were given to him. So if the forms had been sold, that was it. and I could go anywhere that I can find the forms to buy. And I said, that's an interesting thing. Why? Then I said, per the rules, 1, no aspiring parliamentary candidate shall be denied access to purchase the forms. In the event that you are denied per the rules, one may buy it or purchase it at the regional or at the national secretariat through an appeal. So I made an appeal in a written form to the regional secretariat, to the regional chairman, and copied the regional secretary. They looked at it. I made several attempts, follow-ups. I wasn't getting any feedback also from the regional secretariat. So it prompted me, and I also put another appeal to the general secretary of the party with a copy to the national chairman, that I'm having difficulties both at the constituency level and then at the regional level. Having gone into about 2 weeks of the opening of nominations, if I'm not getting a form to purchase, then per the rules, I could also come to the national secretariat. So the general secretary, I'm sure, made contact with the regional secretariat, and upon consultation, then the regional chairman informed me that I could have access to purchase my form. The constituency chairman was then invited to come and pick the forms so that
you can buy from
I can buy from him, because according to the regional chairman, he didn't want a situation that he would give out the forms to me. In any case, the whole process is taking place at the constituency. That is where the elections will be held, which I understood him. So you need to establish the relationship and ensure that we are all working together in this game so that we produce whoever will represent the constituency. So we came to the to the regional secretariat, and 2 forms were given to the constituency chairman, and I witnessed it. I saw the 2 forms. Then I asked him, could I have the permission to purchase mine now at the regional office? And there too, he declined. His response was, no, let us get back to the Mampong constituency office, and that is where I could have the chance to purchase my form. Evans, then I reminded him of what had happened earlier on, where he told me that he initially received 3 forms, and all the forms, he sold them at the regional in Kumasi.
You're afraid if you go to Mampong, he will say the forms have been sold?
Well, so we got to Mampong, and we had agreed at about 3 p.m. on the Friday, he would be at the constituency office. Then I could just go deliver my banker's draft or payment order, and then pick my form. We waited and waited and waited. We could not find the constituency chairman for the rest of the day. We tried to reach him on his phones, or his phone lines were all off. So I was astonished, and I had to make a follow-up to the regional chairman once again to complain to him that this is what had happened on the Saturday, which was the 15th of February. So when I telephoned the regional chairman, he said no, I could then buy it from the regional secretariat. So on the Saturday in the morning, he directed one of the officers of the region to have access to the form and to sell to me. So that day...
That's how you got your forms?
And that is how.
Subsequently, have you had a conversation with the chairman for the constituency?
Oh, yes. The Saturday, the same Saturday, he called me that he will be in the office at Mampong at 12 o'clock, so I could come and buy my forms then. And I said, okay, where I was, I could not reach Mampong at 12 o'clock. So anytime I go to Mampong, I will get in contact with him to find out. Before then, I had gotten my forms. I had purchased it at the regional secretariat. The rest of the Saturday, I had engagement somewhere, so I couldn't go to Mampong. Then the Sunday, I went to Mampong, and I met the constituency chairman, Mr. Lutasar, one-on-one. We had a conversation. And then he even jokingly said, oh, I saw images of you buying or purchasing your forms at the regional secretariat trending on social media. And I said, yes, that is how I got it. So that is why I couldn't come back to you to purchase the forms. Then I told him, on Wednesday, the 19th of February, I want to submit my completed form with all the supporting documents and the filing fee. He accepted it. And he even mentioned to me that the sitting member of parliament will also on the same day submit or file his nomination at 11 a.m.
So this was when? Thursday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
This was this last week?
Yes, okay. Just last week. And this conversation happened between my good self and him on the Sunday. So he mentioned to me that the sitting MP will do his at 11 a.m. I said, then I will come at 3 p.m. And that gives a time gap of 4 hours. So I said, granted that 11 a.m. is not possible for him, 12 noon or 1 p.m., up to 1 p.m., he could finish. And if the committee, the elections committee wanted to take a break, 1 hour to have lunch and come back, then by 3 o'clock or even up to 4 o'clock, I could still file my nomination. Then on the Monday, which was the 17th, last week Monday, exactly a week today, I confirmed with the constituency chairman once again that Wednesday 19th, I'll be at the constituency office to file my nomination or submit my nomination. And he agreed. Wait, I didn't hear of him again. Then on Tuesday, the 18th, at about 9 p.m., between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., then I had a telephone call from him. And he said, oh, Honorable, we have looked at the situation to avoid conflict and for security reasons. We think that we cannot receive you on the 19th, which is the Wednesday, for you to file your nomination. So we want you to do it on the 20th, which is the last day. Which is the last day, the closing date for nomination. And I said, Chairman, you are not being fair to me. I had made my preparation. I had spoken to you on the Sunday. I had confirmed it on a Monday. And now, just the night before the next day, you are coming back to me to postpone mine. It's going to inconvenience me. There is a cost associated with it and any other thing. So why do you want to inconvenience me? For how many hours? How long will it take for me to even file my nomination with the elections committee? It won't take about more than 30 minutes.
So what happened on Wednesday?
Then on a Wednesday, in the morning, I gave my forms to a team of about 4 or 5 people.
To do it on your behalf?
Go to the constituency office. I am not even appearing there. No supporter of mine is coming there. We will go and have our fanfare somewhere. Just go, deliver the forms. Let the constituency chairman receive the forms, indicate that it has been received on this date, and this time, and then get a copy for me. Fine, I'm okay with the process. The team went, and yet the constituency chairman said no, he will not accept it, and that the next day, 8 a.m., I should come with the forms. Honestly, Evans, I couldn't understand it. In any case, the essential thing is for you to take the forms. Is the filing fee attached? Yes, it is part of it. The rest of the documentation, you may ignore. If there are defects with the rest of the documentation, I believe at the vetting committee, I could be asked a question. It will come up. So if I provide unsatisfactory answer.
So you saw the clash. That happened when? On Wednesday?
Yes, on the Wednesday.
That's when your people had gone there to attempt to file?
No, my people went there in the morning. Even at that time, the sitting member of parliament and his team, they had not come there.
Okay, so at what point did the clash happen?
Well, it was later in the afternoon that I got to know that some people had been taken to the hospital. I was in my office when they came to...
So how did that happen then, if your people had gone there in the morning and...
Really, that baffles me, Evans. It baffles me because I had stayed in my office for the entire day since the morning when I got there. Is there a
chance that the people you sent hung around?
They came back. They came back with the forms to me. So they were all around my office area. And the sitting member of parliament and his team, going to the party office to file his nomination, they passed through in front of my office. And there was nothing. There was no clash. They passed and went and then filed his nomination.
So you still don't know how come the clash happened?
No, I don't know.
Have anybody
and I'm being sincere with you.
Has anybody been arrested?
I'm told one lady went to make a complaint, and a young man called me that a CID officer asked him to come, and he went and reported himself, and he also...
The people who got injured, are they your supporters?
This is what happened. When I got the message that some young men had been injured, I went straight to the hospital at Mampong, and I found about 6 persons who had been injured, and 4 of them were people who had my T-shirts, and the 2 others had the T-shirt of
your incumbent,
the sitting MP. So I tried to find out what happened, that they had come there, because I was not expecting any clash at all. Then they tried to explain to me what happened. But the doctor was attending to them. So all of them were attended to by the doctor. They were treated, and they were all discharged that very day. Nobody was on admission.
So when did you get to submit your forms now?
On the Thursday. Because of what happened, and I could not trust the constituency chairman on the Thursday, when he was talking about 8 a.m. on the Thursday for me to appear, I could not trust. Because you know what? Even forms, the first set of forms given to him, he said he sold them.
I mean, so you've told us the story about how you were frustrated. So you were
on the Thursday,
thought this was a ploy.
Certainly.
That they would close and then,
also be in possession of my own forms.
And have not submitted
and then I'm forfeited to contest. So I called the regional chairman once again, and the regional chairman said that, look, I could come and file my nomination at the regional secretariat. So on the Thursday, he directed his secretary to receive the forms.
So you did not file the forms in Asante Mampong?
No, I did not file the
forms. You filed it at the regional office?
At the regional office.
In Kumasi?
In Kumasi.
I see. And so your form, you properly filed, and you're a candidate?
Yes.
You're going to be vetted, though?
Absolutely.
You're going to be vetted in your constituency?
No, the vetting will take place in Kumasi.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the process. So everybody else in the Central Region will go for a central location for the vetting?
Yes, for the vetting. Because the vetting committee is made up of the national rep, which is chaired by the general secretary of our party, who has a supervisory role in Ashanti region. And it has the regional reps also, and then the constituency reps. The constituency reps are the 5-member elections committee of the constituency, plus the regional representatives and then the national representatives. They are the vetting committee.
Sitting here, do you think that you would go through the vetting with that issue?
Yes, I believe so.
Do you think there's a conspiracy against you?
Well, I'm trying to figure it out whether there is any conspiracy. But for now, I do not have any evidence of it. So I assume that it's been the difficulty on the part of the constituency chairman. But if he's in conspiracy with others, then maybe he has to tell that story to us.
Now, there are intrigues in your road back to Parliament that needs to be explored. So here you are in 2014, moves from you were incumbent member of Parliament then, and then wants to go the big ticket on the party's ticket as the flag bearer.
Yes.
You contest Nanado in elections. You performed woefully. You got a single vote, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Where?
You got in the primary, presidential primary in 2014.
No.
How many votes did you get?
We were 7 aspirants at that time.
Yeah.
And the first process was to go to a special college. And at the end of the special college, I placed third.
Yes.
And then we went into the main election.
Yes.
And 2 others dropped out. And they said they were not going to continue. And the 3 of us who continued were the sitting president now, the trade minister, and my good self. And that is how it ended.
And but you didn't perform well in the primary. You performed.
No, yes, of course, overwhelmingly, the sitting president got
90 plus.
90,
Yes,
90,
we all remember
90
that.
plus
yes.
Percent
Alan
of the
Chamantin
votes.
came in
he
second.
Came with about 4 point something
third.
percent. So
Alan Chamantin managed to secure the blessing, really, of the Nado Den, who then had total and absolute control of the party. Then he was 90 plus percent, almost 100. Alan Chamantin was the first person, even before the elections, that the president said, the current president said, will be my trade minister if I win. He had no such deal with the president.
Well, Evans, the president has a prerogative right to appoint and to disappoint. And so once President Nana Akufo-Addo was elected in 2016, and prior to his swearing in, if he made that statement, that was his prerogative right. And you could not challenge him. I could not challenge him. And still he has a right. So if he wants to disappoint any of his appointees and come up with new faces or new fresh hands to assist him, yeah, the Constitution gives him that mandate to do
Three
so.
of you, my point is, 2 of you challenged him.
Yes.
1 got a deal.
Yes.
In fact, he went on a campaign trail with him. Did you want a campaign trail?
Yes, I was, Evans. I'm sure you have forgotten. I was on the campaign trail with the then candidate and now as our president. In the northern part of Ghana, in Branhafu, in Western, I was on the campaign trail. I also campaigned to look at the new patriotic party as a team under the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo.
You pledged your loyalty to him?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He is the one that we all campaigned for to be elected. And that it is a team. And every team will have a leader. And at that time, and still now, he is the leader. Now he is going into re-election. He is the sole candidate. He is going to be acclaimed.
Have you still, in this campaign, have you pledged your loyalty to the president?
Absolutely.
In what form, exactly?
Evans, I'll tell you something. I happen to be the first person, if not, or amongst the first persons, to give the indication that the sitting president, if he desires to go or to seek re-election, should be allowed to go unopposed. And these statements, I made them so way back in 2017, in some of the interviews that I granted to the media, But, sometimes we also forget. And then there is propaganda. There is Willa Balu. Somebody wants to contest. Somebody wants to contest. But we have gotten that, somehow a tradition. We have established a tradition. In 2004, J. Kufuor, in seeking re-election, went unopposed on the ticket of the party. So how could somebody consider to run against a certain president now who desires to seek re-election?
Did you consider running against him?
No. It's never been part of my consideration. It's never. And I'm saying this unequivocally. It's never been part of my consideration. And as I said, way back in 2017, I started giving out this kind of message that if President Akufo-Addo will seek re-election, then he should go unopposed, because that is the convention for NPP we have established. We did it for J. Kufuor, so how could you depart from that in these circumstances?
I mean,
so it's I would say sometimes people's imagination, and in this game, propaganda will travel sometimes more than the speed of sound or light.
What is your relationship with the president?
Cordial. There's nothing wrong.
Because some may say that, some may look at the primary outcome in 2015.
2014.
I'm talking about the parliamentary primary, because you also stood at parliamentary primary.
Yes, that is correct.
And say that the delegates punished you for attempting to cause an upset with the president who had absolute control of the party.
But I would disagree with you.
Okay.
If you say it was a punishment, I would disagree with
Why
you.
would you?
I was not the only person who contested in 2014. We were 17. We were 7. The sitting president himself, the trade minister, and Honorable Kofi Kunedu-Apreku, Honorable Asamoah Boateng, Honorable Jogate, Honorable Kofi Oseameya, and my good self. We were 7.
A lot of these people have appointments. In fact, to be clear, it's good that you brought this up. Alan Chemanting is trade minister.
Absolutely.
Dr. Kunedu-Apreku has an appointment.
Yes, with the ECOWAS.
With ECOWAS.
Yes, secretariat.
Mr. from Boateng, Asamoah Boateng,
yes,
has an appointment with this latest organization that's been set up in Parliament with a new law.
Yes.
Head of state institutions.
State Enterprise Commission
exactly.
Law.
Head of state, exactly. Has an appointment. We also have, you mentioned also the other contender in the particular race,
Honorable Jogate.
Honorable Jogate, who is a railways minister.
Yes.
You don't have anything.
Yes, but I cannot explain, and I do not want to conjecture.
But that speaks volumes.
Well,
every single person in that race
yes,
has been, in political terms, rewarded with posts.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they don't qualify for them, but in political terms, we know how this game is played. You have it.
Yes.
You're the only person.
Yes.
That can't be coincidence.
Well, then you could take it up as a research that you can do, and that can.
You haven't wondered why?
Well, I know it's a family. The NPP is a family, and there are so many of us.
Because also, you are not the only sitting member of parliament who took time off to contest the president then. Well, Nanado then. Because Jogate was in parliament.
Yeah, Jogate was in parliament.
Yes. Just like yourself.
Yes.
So if
I think the two of us were in parliament.
We're in parliament. And he still won his primary.
Yes.
And still went to parliament.
Yes.
So on all counts, you are still the odd one out.
Yes.
That all the elements didn't favor you then and still doesn't favor you now.
Well, that is why I'm saying that it can be a research topic.
But you must. Have you given a thought at all?
Well, I do. I do.
What explanation did you get? Did you yourself?
But I do not think it is abnormal. I do not think so. Let me give you also a scenario. In 1998, there were 5 contestants for the flag bearer of the party in Sunyane.
Yeah.
There were 4 sitting MPs at that time. J.H. Mensah, who was the minority leader, Nanado, Kofi Kunedu-Apreku, Malik Al-Hassan. Yeah. They were 4.
Yeah.
And then we had Lawyer Kodia, who was the 5th person, and then J.A. Kufuor as the 6th person. Lawyer Kodia was in private practice and still in private practice. I'm not sure if he also had any appointment at that time.
Yeah, but the rest did.
Yes, the rest did. In J.A. Kufuor's administration. Yeah. Yes, because they were all in parliament and they were all offered appointment to serve in J.A. Kufuor's administration. Have you also found out why perhaps Lawyer Kodia was also out of government? Or if he was in government, what position was he occupying?
I get that this is a century ago in terms of politics.
So yeah, I agree with you. So I'm just also giving you that
there's a precedent to this. But you must certainly be curious. Why that is
you could be curious to find out, but the authority doesn't lie with you. The power doesn't lie with you. The mandate doesn't lie with you. Constitutionally, the right lies with the appointing authority.
Have you made overtures to the president?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You have made overtures?
Yes, we have.
In what sense? What defined the overtures?
Oh, well, I mean, visiting the president. I've had encounters with the president in his office, at various party programs. Yes.
Have you, in all these encounters, expressed your willingness to serve in his administration?
Why not? Why not? If I have competence and to
Have you pitched, though? Because sometimes in politics you have to lobby. Have you pitched?
Oh, I think Evans, yes, lobbying is part of the game of politics, and not even politics alone, even in business. Lobbying is part of it. So, I mean, you cannot exclude that one out. And sometimes you also make personal contact, and which we do. You do not necessarily need to go through any third or a fourth person. You can do it by yourself.
Directly. So you've done that directly?
We do it.
So you've lobbied directly?
We meet and we talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
On these matters?
Yes. So if the offer has not come, what will you do? What can you do? You tell me, Evans, what can you do if it is in you were in that shoes,
so just to be clear, you've made personal overtures. People close to you have made personal overtures. You've used the word lobbying. It's part of politics. In spite of all that, and that's, I guess you're asking me the right question. In spite of all that, you still haven't been given a hearing yet in this government. Your question is, what can you do?
Yes, what can you do?
Okay. So you've given up on that?
No.
Okay.
You can't give up. That is why I am still a member of the party. Yeah. And I do what is required.
So you still have our expectations of serving in this government at some point?
If the opportunity avails itself, why not? You know, it is a service to your nation. The nation has also invested in me, in my education, in my secondary education, in my tertiary education. As a trained civil engineer at KNUST, I also have something to offer. But you must be given the opportunity to do so. Then you can demonstrate the quality that you have.
Okay. I want to take a quick break. When I return, I'll begin to ask him about, he should lay out for her why he wants to go back. What qualifies him now more than before? Stay with us. You're still live on PMSS. My guest in the studio is still Mr. Addai Nimo. He is a parliamentary hopeful, one time a presidential hopeful as well. Mr. Addai Nimo, so you've represented the people of Asante Mampong before. Why should they reconsider you? Well, what do you bring now that you didn't bring before? Is it the same Addai Nimo, or this is a different Addai Nimo with different...
You know, in my initial submission, I told you that the motivation arises from the constituents themselves.
Okay.
Having compared and contrasted the quality of leadership that they are experiencing now and what they used to experience under me as the MP. And I believe that is the basis why there is a call for the comeback.
You know, I mean, I've done the job for 16 years. Every time I hear politicians say, the people say I should go, every politician says that. Yeah. I tend to take that with a pinch of salt.
Don't.
Because I've had many politicians in my 16 years experience doing this job and talking to politicians. Yes. All of them say, all of the people say I should go. Yes. Meanwhile, it's just your ambition.
You should have an ambition. Is it wrong to have an ambition?
But don't blame it. Don't say that people say. Say, no, I want to go.
Yes, you have an ambition. But you have to test the ambition. You test the ambition among the people. In any case, it is people that you want to lead. So you find out.
So the order is important. You wanted to go, and you tested it. It's not the other way around. But
no,
it's always been pitched to say...
It can be.
It's always been pitched to say...
It can be.
The politician didn't have any intention of running, and then the people came to him and said, run, and I thought about it, and I decided to take the people up on the offer.
Well, it is also possible. So it is not a one-way approach. It can come from...
In your case, what was it? Your ambition that you tested and the people validated it?
Well, I have an ambition. I'm still a political animal. I have not opted out of politics.
So you want to go back to Parliament?
Let me tell you this. It is a combination, okay? The people say that, look, we have missed you. We have missed your leadership.
The people say?
If I say the people, you should understand me. Yeah, you should understand me. Certainly, you will come into contact with some of your constituents. Youth, the elderly, children, whoever. They will say, oh, Honorable, we've seen what you are doing for us. So if I say the people say, I'm not talking about the entirety.
So you have an office in a certain amount?
I have. I have an office that was opened on the 1st of January 2009 when I became MP.
And you have,
and
even after you lost,
even I lost,
dismantled the office?
Yes, that office has been functioning. That office was even opened by the sitting president in 2009 for the
Is
first
this a
time.
personal office or is this a party office?
No, there's a party office, and I also have my office as an MP, because you are not MP for only
MPP.
your party.
MP for everybody
Yes.
else.
So assuming when I was in office, the municipal chief executive was NDC municipal chief executive, I should be able to engage him in
Mr. Addai Nimo,
meetings.
what do you bring to the table now? What is your unique selling proposition?
Well, I think that above all is the character of Honorable Addai Nimo, in terms of hard work, in terms of humility, in terms of honesty. And this is what the people have distinguished me from the others. They saw it, what I could deliver even as MP in opposition, with the little resources I had, to spread it to cover almost the entire communities in the whole constituency. The minor projects that I could do. In terms of education, for the first time, I started organizing free vacation classes for students. In 2009, I could have over 1,000 students attending. In terms of financial assistance to students that I provided, some have graduated, they are doctors, some are engineers, some are in the police, some are in the military, you know. So the joy is that you lead people and then they also aspire to greater heights. They won't look at you and they say that, look, Honorable, we want to be like you. And I tell them, you can even be greater than me. So that is what I still bring on board. The principles of the 3H: hard work, honesty, humility.
So some say from a presidential hopeful to a parliamentary hopeful is a demotion.
No, it is not Evans. You know why?
Tell me.
I'll tell you. The first example, locally, in our jurisdiction here. 1998, there were 4 sitting members of parliament who contested J.A. Kufuor. And when they lost out, they didn't abandon their parliamentary career. The sitting president was still the MP for Ebuakwa, and now Ebuakwa South. G.H. Mensah was the MP for Sunyani East. Kofi Konadu Apreku was the MP for Ofinso North. Malik Al-Hassan was the MP for Yendi. They continued.
There's a difference there.
Now I'll come to the second example. In 2007, among the 17 aspirants, we had Hakman Usuajman, who was a sitting MP for New Jabin North. Papa Usuankama was a sitting MP for Second D. Dambuche was a non-MP, and they all contested the sitting president. And when they lost out, Papa Usuankama continued. He went back to his constituency. Hackman went back to his constituency. Dambuche, for the first time, found Okere.
Okay, so his story is more like you. You're out of parliament now. You want to go back. Okay,
absolutely.
So
it is not abnormal. And if I take you to the jurisdiction of United States, Mitt Romney was a governor for Massachusetts. He ran for the president on the ticket of the Republican Party against Obama. Yeah. He lost out. Now Mitt Romney is a senator for the state of Utah.
Okay. So you have good examples to follow.
Sure.
All the best in your vetting.
Yes.
And you don't believe there's a conspiracy against you? So
no.
Everything should go.
I do not want to conjecture, Evans. Okay, I do not want. Let us give the rules of the game.
Do you have the blessing
to
of the president, though? Some say you need to go again.
Yes, I have the blessing of the president. I have the blessing of my constituents to run again. Okay. And the decision will be made on April 25th.
Okay.
Not 20th.
25th. Thank you very much. That's Mr. Addai Nimo, my guest today. We're going to be doing a series on the NPP primaries here on PMX. That's part of our contribution to this great election year. We'll be speaking tomorrow, and this week you'll hear also with Chairman Sabonsu, who is my majority leader, all part of our build-up towards some time. Enjoy the rest of your day.